What up, y'all? Welcome to the Rolling the Bottom podcast, the NASCAR podcast. This is episode 3. We're back after a great weekend of racing at Miami Homestead Speedway. I thought this weekend's racing was great for all three series. The trucks are finally back after a long, it was like 2 weeks, long time since they raced. We're going to be covering them for the first time ever in Rolling the Bottom podcast history. It was a great week. I love Homestead Miami, especially with his new next-gen car. It drives great in the mile and a halves. Multi-groove, running the wall, tire wear, all the good stuff that's all great about NASCAR, and I really enjoyed the racing this weekend. So let's get into our segment, lower series breakdown. We're going to break down trucks in XFINITY. We'll start off with trucks here. Carson Hocevar won the truck series race, only led the last 11 laps. What a truck for him. Locks himself in to the final four. He was already pretty going to be locked in on points. We'll talk about that one later. Corey Heim won both stations, led the most laps at 57 laps led. And then Zane Smith, this would have been maybe more of my all-track stuff, but I'm throwing it in here. Zane Smith was DQ with a windshield infraction. You can see on TV, like, his windshield was, like, bubbled in. Like, you can just see it. You can tell how it was, like, bubbled in. So that definitely helps with drag aerodynamically. So that they got him from that. I mean, he had to win. He killed himself in the points just from making mistakes. So he was in a must-win. He technically led 134 laps in the race, but that was all DQ due to his disqualification. Ben Rhodes then led 22 laps to help him make the championship 4. I mean, it was around with 53 laps to go. He went in pit, and he went and had, it was his last set of tires, and that was he had a fresh pair. So his theology there was, because the leader started pit, he was going to take those tires and he was going to risk, whenever the pit stop cycle through came in, he was going to end up hopefully second to the lead, and it worked out well because he was passing cars. Everyone else in front of him when he restarted was all low on bad tires. So he was in second to the lead and had a long lead, strong lead, and it kept him up front. I think he had to have a top 3 finish to stay in and make it in on points to the final 4, and it all worked out, and he did. I mean, what a run for him. Yeah, great race, great for Ford. So we're going to have all 3 manufacturers will be represented in the championship 4 for the truck series. So that's all great for the manufacturers, great for NASCAR, and So we got Corey Heim, Carson Hocevar, Grant Enfinger, and Ben Rhodes make the championship 4. Grant Enfinger just had a solid race and made it on points, and Christian Eckes, I think, was one of his competition that was kind of right there on points, made some bad mistakes. I think he had a restart violation. I guess it was cutting into too many lanes, but then I think it was also switched to he jumped out of line early, and that's what cost him a penalty. You can't do that. You can't jump out of line because that gives you advantage in the restart. You're making a move. You have to stay in your lane after the finish line, then you can make a move. So that killed him, and then I think he also, when he was serving his penalty, I think it was a pass stroke, he sped too, so that killed him. But yeah, great. Top 10 finishers, top 10 running order. Carson Hocevar was first, Ben Rhodes second, Corey Heim third, Grant Enfinger fourth, Bailey Curry fifth, Stuart Friesen sixth, Matt Crafton seventh, Rashad Caruth eighth, Ty Majeski ninth, and Chase Berry 10th. Great race. Looking forward to the championship 4 race. We'll be covering that. We're going to cover that in our next episode because there's nothing to preview for this weekend because they're not racing at Martinsville. So stay tuned to next week's episode as we break down the championship 4 race. Now, let's get into. I guess I did miss this. My bad. The 4 guys that were eliminated were Christian Eckes, Nicholas Sanchez, Zane Smith, and Ty Majeski. Ty Majeski, I would say that he won a race in the round of, and he was 10, but due to his penalty he had a penalty where he was pretty much bleeding the air out of his tires, which allowed better grip. So he got a penalty for that, and that pretty much killed him, where he was in a must-win no matter what going into the round of 8. So that killed him. Zane Smith DQ'd, so it really didn't matter what he did. And Nicholas Sanchez, my bad, just didn't have the car, the truck to do anything there, and disappointment for him. I mean, he had a good truck in the beginning, and then he was just didn't have the speed near the end. Kind of fell off on speed and ability there. And then Christian has made too many mistakes that cost him. Yeah, so now let's get into the Xfinity Series. Sam Mayer wins the Xfinity Series race, locks himself into the championship 4. Cole Custer won stage 1, led the most laps at 114 laps. Derek Kraft's on some strategy. He drives for Kaulig. This is like, he's a part-timer, won stage 2, so good for him. It was just a strategy with some of the leaders pitting and him staying out with a few laps to go. He was able to stay out front and get the win there. Good for him, especially a guy who's trying to work his way up there, on a limited schedule. So really cool for him. And then I want to talk about Sheldon Creed and Chandler Smith were both involved in wrecks. Chandler Smith was involved in a wreck on, I believe it was like lap 97. And it was like it was a tight fit where it was like 4 wide down the backstretch. And no one was giving people space, and he got collected in it, got turned sideways, and it destroyed him, destroyed the front. He actually continued after that, but his car was nothing. It was junked. It was toast. So yeah, disappointing for him. He's going to be in a must-win situation going into the next round. And then Sheldon Creed, he actually wrecked him with like 3 laps to go, and looked like the guy he was racing with kind of came down on him and turned him on accident. I don't think he was trying. They were running right up against the wall. So that really killed him. He was already, I don't know where he was. He was outside top 10 there. He was also that really didn't really affect him to what he has to do. He's also in a must-win situation. So that's really going to kill him. I don't know if it really killed him. He was in a must-win no matter what. So, just disappointing way to kind of end your race there. Just doesn't really give you any good momentum to go into Martinsville. So now we'll, actually, I do want to talk about the top 10 finishers for the Xfinity Series race. Sam Mayer first, Riley Herbst second, John Hunter Nemechek third, Austin Hale fourth, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., the guy comes out a second star of the season, finishes fifth. One of the drives, that guy, I didn't think this guy really had it anymore. He ran really well in Bristol, but Phoenix Homestead's a whole different track, so a mile and a half, running against the wall, but great run for him. It's really cool, awesome that he's still getting done. And then Daniel Hemrick was sixth, Parker Kligerman was second, Brandon Jones was eighth, and Samuel Smith was ninth, and Joe Graff Jr. was 10th. Those are your top 10 finishers. Good race, really enjoyed it. Going to be an exciting race this weekend at Martinsville. The Cup Series race breakdown. Christopher Bell won the Forever 400. He did not have a car at all, even close in the beginning of this race. He was I think he finished 8th in the final, in the stage 1. And after that, just his car just didn't have it. Didn't have a long run, didn't have a short run, was just struggling. He was definitely mad on the radio. But no, gets it done, locks himself in. Now he'll have this nice little, 2 weeks to get prepared for Phoenix. So, congrats to Christopher Bell on the win. And then Kyle Larson won stage 1, and Ryan Blaney won stage 2. I thought in the beginning of this race that Kyle Larson had the best car. I forget where he exactly qualified. Qualified inside the top 10. But, he worked his way up and just slowly inched his way up there to the front. And then once he got to the front, he looked like he had the best car until, he wins stage 1. And then in the stage 2, he looked like the best car, right? And then near the end, Ryan Blaney came on strong when tire wear was coming to fact. Blaney definitely had the best, had an incredible long run car. His car was hooked up well when the tires got a little wear in them. His car was driving well. He was able to make passes, and he came on strong and passed Larson with a couple laps to go in stage 2 and took it. So those are big stage points. And there was 25 lead changes. Kyle Larson led the most laps at 96. There were only 5 cautions, including stages. They had a couple. One of the cautions was due to Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson getting together on pit road. This was with about 55 laps to go in the race, and there was a lot of debate on who's at fault at this pit road entrance. Larson was probably a second back, 8/10 back, and Blaney came in. They were both going to come in at the same time. this was going to be their last stop of the day. And it seemed like Blaney was taking, in my opinion, a normal route in the pit road, was going normal speed, wasn't trying to be too aggressive. Just, he doesn't want to make any mistakes, because if he makes a mistake, it's going to cost, if he gets a speeding penalty, it's going to cost him a chance to win this race. But then on the other hand, Kyle Larson his goal was to make up time here. Okay, when Blaney's slowing up, I'm gonna drive a little deep in here. I'm gonna wake the light off. And it seemed like he was just carrying way too much speed and being a little over aggressive. And he went to avoid Blaney. He ran into the sand barriers that are on the end of pit road. The sand barriers are there because the pit road wall is kind of sharp, and there's nothing there to protect it. There's no secret barrier there on the end of the pit road, so they put sand barriers there to help absorb impact, so you don't hit the corner of the concrete wall there. So, and then he got wrecked his car, destroyed his car, cost him a chance to win, and then there was a big old mess of sand. So that was they had a red flag there of sand. There was a weird debate there whose fault there, but to me it was Larson. Like Larson, in my opinion, Larson didn't have the right of way to. It doesn't matter what Blaney does. It doesn't even matter if Blaney brake checked him at all. It's Larson's job to slow down and not hit Blaney. Doesn't matter what Blaney does. There's no rule for not. I don't think he brake checked. It looked like Blaney was going normal and Larson was trying to be aggressive. It just happens. It's just part of racing, man. Larson already has a win. He's just trying to get another win, trying to take another win away from a guy who's trying to lock himself in. But that cost his day off, and And then we get into later in the race. Yeah, Ryan Blaney, he led 53 laps. I mean, his car was good, really, really good in the long run. And then we get later into the race, there was a restart, and Bell. After that long caution with pit stops, Bell was well inside the top 5, and then there was Byron there, and we got a restart, and it was about 30. Got a restart, and Bell was able to. There was Denny and Blaney and Byron were like 3 wide for a little bit there, and that allowed Byron to get out and head when they were side by side. And then Christopher came in there and was able to make spots. And there was this ongoing battle between Blaney and Denny for like 4th. And then Christopher was able to take the lead from Byron, and once Christopher Bell was out in front, he went from being one of the worst cars, playoff cars, to one of the best. And once he was out front, he was tough to beat, and he was able to make this large gap between each other. So, but then once Denny and Blaney were getting pretty racy there, and Denny was able to, once Denny was able to get separated, he was able to, once they got single file and Denny passed Blaney with 33 laps to go, Denny hit a mechanical failure. I don't know, he said steering, suspension, whatever. You see the replay, he's driving, all of a sudden his wheel locks up and he goes into the wall. It wasn't a big impact. He looks like he still had, the brakes were still working, so he was able to slow the car down, but that cost him. Total link was bent. Car was destroyed. So that really killed Denny's day. Denny led 31 laps. He had a car that was capable. His strategy was really interesting. Denny's strategy was really interesting because he would run long at both stages, and then what the goal is when he runs long, he pits, and then he has a big old tire advantage. So he's able. So even though he'll be, let's say maybe right outside the top 10, he'll have this and he'll have this tire advantage that will allow him to be able to make passes easier. Instead of being on equal tires, which when you were on equal tires, it's very difficult to make passes. So yeah, he had a good car. He had an opportunity. I don't know, near the end of the race, he had a car to beat Christopher, excuse me. But no, really, really disappointing, because that right there kills him. That's going to put him in a situation where he's outside the top 4. So, that's the thing about this playoff format. When I say to me, due to the fact that the points kind of separate, reset every round, you just can't make a mistake. You can't afford a wreck, because that could cost you. It's that difficult. You can't make mistakes. You can't cost yourself big mistakes. Because and now that wasn't really a mistake from Denny. It was a mechanical failure. I listened to Denny Hamlin's podcast, and he still doesn't exactly know what it could have been from. He didn't know it could have been a power steering issue, could have been a suspension issue, he was saying. Yeah, definitely. If you really, I think if you're ever interested in listening to another NASCAR podcast, definitely go listen to Denny Hamlin's Action Detrimental. It's a great podcast. Really enjoyed that one. Yeah. And then let's get to our top 10 finishers on the race. Christopher Bell finishes first. Ryan Blaney finishes second. Ty Reddick third. William Byron fourth. AJ Allmendinger fifth. Bubba Wallace sixth. Ty Gibbs seventh. Joey Logano eighth. Eric Almirola ninth. And Austin Dillon 10th. And then some notable finishes is Chris Buescher 21st. Martin Truex 29th. Denny Hamlin 30th, and then Kyle Larson 34th. Both of those two guys were wrecked. That's why they're low. That's why they didn't finish well, because they were out. I'll start off with Chris Buescher here. I mean, his car, compared to what his teammate Brad's was, I mean, Brad qualified fourth, was up there most of the time. Chris Buescher just seemed like they couldn't get the setup right. I mean, he was at the end of stage one, he was one lap down, he got lapped. I mean, that's just you can't afford that in this playoffs when you need stage points. I mean, the points are so tight, everyone's so close. I mean, that just killed him. I mean, he was a non-factor. I mean, he just didn't have any speed at all. Like, it wasn't like they were, even when they made improvements and seen it, it just didn't help. They just couldn't get top 10 at all. So it's definitely disappointing as RFK, knowing that you couldn't maybe help yourself in a way where you could have got some couple points, maybe 10, 20 points. That could have put you maybe in a situation where you didn't have to be in a must-win, but just wasn't meant to be that day. So now he'll go into Martinsville with a must-win. And Martin Truex Jr., man, the playoff luck, the playoff momentum. I mean, Martin Truex has had nothing, no momentum. I mean, he's survived every round, and he finished 29th. Actually, he also wrecked. He also didn't finish the race. He had an engine failure. He had an engine going out. I mean, he was just, their car was good. He led a couple laps. And if I go back and check how many laps he actually led, yeah, he led 10 laps. And he started off up front. He won the pole for the race for P6. So he won the race, but then their pit crew let them down. I mean, he was furious in the pit road. He was like, man, I'm done with this crap. And that's that's like what he said. He was just pissed off. And yeah, he just didn't have a car capable. Yeah, he was mad. Pit crew let him down. And that's the thing about NASCAR. It's a team sport. It's not just the driver, it's the whole team. You gotta make it happen. You gotta do it as one. You can't just because you're a good driver, you gotta rely on that pit crew to get you good stops. That's what I love about NASCAR. It's not just one guy; it's a team effort. So, but no, tough luck. But he'll still be in a position where he still can make enough points. But yeah, so that's the NASCAR recap Cup Series race. Looking forward to getting into the preview, but let's head into our silly season news. So, there's not much news this weekend, but there are 2-3 topics-ish I want to cover. So, Dean Thompson, who drives the Truck Series for Tricon Garage, is going to return to the team. His stats this year, he's probably the most known for getting involved and wrecking, having a bunch of run-ins with Hailie Deegan all year. I mean, he hasn't really done much in that truck. I mean, his overall career stats in the Truck Series is, 46 races. He has 0 wins, 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 0 laps led. Average finish at 24.0. I mean, he does not have any DNQs. He's never not finished a race. So, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure why I'm covering him, but I just thought, we're low on silly season news. I might as well throw him in there. I think one of the reasons that he is staying is because of sponsorship, which I think his sponsor is like his own family-owned business because it says Thompson on the hood. So it must be some family-owned sponsorship that he's sponsored by. But good for him to get an opportunity to try to prove himself. But at this rate, he's not gonna. He ain't shocking the world. I'll just put it like that. And then the big news I felt like over the weekend. It was really during the weekend. Is Chandler Smith is leaving Kaulig Racing, and is that it's not been reported yet, but reading some articles, Matt Weaver, a journalist for motorsports, came out an article and pretty much saying that Chandler Smith's going to be leaving Kaulig Racing and going to GTR. It's like pretty much it looks like Chandler Smith and his group, his team, his agency is going to buy out his contract so he can go to, looks like what is reported to be JGR. There's no announcement yet, but that's what it looks like for reviews and rumors and reports. And also I heard that that could be where Sheldon Creed could be going. He could also be going to JGR. Knowing that John Hunter Nemechek is going to Legacy Motor Club in the Cup Series. And then Sammy Smith is going to Junior Motorsports. There's 2 spots open there for full-time rides. So right now that's where it looks like it could be heading. So great for Chandler Smith. I mean, Chandler Smith hasn't had, his first rookie year in the series. He has, this is out of 31 races. He has 1 win. He won at Richmond, short track. So that was his first career win ever. Yeah, I felt like he started off the season hot. But then he has 8 top 5s, 12 top 10s, 3 poles, 318 laps led. His average finish is 15.2, so decent, right? I felt like he started the season off strong in the beginning, and then after he won that first race, I felt like a slow decline. And but he's still running top 10. But like I don't see him challenging for the lead as much. But yeah, very interesting news. Going to be interesting to see if the rumors are true and the news is true for where they're going. Now let's head into our Martinsville preview for XFINITY and Cup. Last year's winner for the Xfinity Series race was Ty Gibbs. John Hunter Nemechek won the spring race here. And then Brandon Jones and Josh Berry, who are not in the playoffs, they have both also won here. So those also are going to be guys you can look out for. And then let's get into the playoff standings. So we're going to start from the top first to 8th. Sam Mayer is locked into the next round with his win this weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. And then John Hunter Nemechek is plus 44. Pretty much to me, he's a lock. He won here this spring, so I think he'll have a good run. As long as he doesn't get wrecked or anything issues there. And then Cole Custer is plus 3. Austin Hill is also plus 3. They're going to be both. I think they're going to both be good. But they're definitely not going to. They definitely can't afford to have a crappy day. They're going to have to be able to run inside the top 10, get stage points. And then looking outside the bubble, on the bubble line, Justin Allgaier is minus 3. Sammy Smith is minus 49. Chandler Smith is minus 54. And Sheldon Creed is minus 65. So pretty much from Justin Allgaier and up, those guys are all going to be in. They can all point themselves in. And then but below, from Sammy Smith to Sheldon Creed from 6 to 8, they're all must win. Sammy Smith has 1 win at Richmond, at Phoenix, so he has 1 in a short track. Sammy Smith finished second in the spring race to Justin Allgaier. John Hunter Nemechek, excuse me. So he knows how to get around this place. And then Chandler Smith finished 10th in the spring too, so he also has run here well, especially in an Xfinity car. And then Sheldon Creed, in the spring, he finished 27th. It looks like, I'm not remembering how he ran there, but I think he had an issue, got wrecked, got spun, so that killed him. So when it comes to momentum or results there in the spring, didn't really look too good for Sheldon Creed. But the RCR cars are good enough to win in the short tracks. But yeah, you're going to see Sammy Smith and Chandler Smith, Sheldon Creed. They're all going to be looking to be aggressive they're not going to look to get points. There's no need to get points. They're all going to be going and hitting a strategy of just winning. Whenever they can put themselves in the best position to win. So they may stay out after a stage to get track position, to put themselves in a position where they could win the race. And then Justin Allgaier, yeah, he had a crappy type. Homestead had some issues with pit road. Too many men over the wall. That killed him. And his car just was, I think he had a loose wheel that caused him to go back in. That killed him just with a good result. So he'll be -3, but he's good here. If I can check the results from last year, he finished 6th. So he's good here. He could win. He could win this race. Capable guy. And then Austin Hill, who's above the cut line by 3. He finished 16th in the spring. So not great, but to me I think it's a new race, new week. So he's gonna have speed. Austin Hill's gonna have speed. Cole Custer, he finished 3rd in the spring at Martinsville. So he knows how to get around this place, and I think, really to me, it's really a 3-way battle for the last 2 spots. Unless someone wins, it's like a 1-way battle. Because you pretty much got 3 guys all within, 3 points of each other to make it in. It's going to come down to just getting stage points, running well. It could really be interesting because it'll be interesting watching on TV. You could have a battle for a spot to win, and you'll have a points battle to watch. So there's a lot of things to look out for, which will be make an exciting race. I think John Hananichek, 2nd in points. He's plus 44. If he could finish last, he could run 25th all day, and he'll make it. Unless I don't even know how you lose it, because he would need a ton of help to miss it. So I think he'll be a lock for the championship 4. I think in my pick, I'm gonna pick Josh Berry to win the Xfinity race. He's not in the playoffs, but he's won here before. He's been good here. Junior Motorsports cars are fast. Josh Berry's got 2 more chances to win. I think he's gonna go. He doesn't have to worry about stage points. He's gonna go get her done. I'm picking Josh Berry to win the race. Now let's get into the Xfinity Series, the Xfinity 500 for the Cup Series race this weekend. Last year's winner of this race was Christopher Bell. The spring winner of this year was Kyle Larson. Denny Hamlin has the most wins out of any active driver at 5 wins. His last win was back in 2015. So he's been good here all year, but he hasn't won since 2015, so almost 7 years. Should be an interesting race. This race to me is gonna be must-see TV because you're gonna have so much going on with only 2 spots available. As we go into point standings, Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson, 1 and 2, both locked in. Don't have to worry about stage points, but they're gonna be aggressive. They're gonna try to go get that win, keep someone else from winning. And then winning Byron is +3. He's another guy that, to me, if he just runs well, top 10 stage points, he's going to be pretty much a lock unless he wrecks. But he's run well here. He's won here. He won here back in 2022 in the spring race there. Spring or fall race. So he's good here. And then Ryan Blaney, he's above the cut line after a great run at a 2nd place finish at Homestead. He's 10+. And then going now below the cut line is Tyrant, -10. Martin Truex Jr., -17. Denny Hamlin, also -17. Chris Buescher, -43. To me, below the cut line, Tyrant, his best finish here is 8th. So it's not that's for his best finish. It's not the best to feel comfortable for. Especially comparing, Martin Truex and Denny Hamlin are way better at this track. I think he'll be in top 10, but to me, it's going to be hard because he's going to have to be able to compete with Martin and Denny, and Martin and Denny are both above. He's going to have to be able to stay with them, watch their points. I don't personally think he'll make it because I think Martin and Denny, who are both -17, they're both really good here. Martin Truex has won 3 times here. He knows he's really good here. He knows how to get around. And Denny Hamlin, who has 5 wins here, is really freaking good here. Really flipping good. And then let's get into 8th. Chris Buescher. He's -43. It's very depressing to see this. Okay. Chris Buescher he just hasn't had a good round, man. Hasn't had a good enough round. He had to get stage points in Homestead. You have to get stage points if you're going to want to try to put yourself in, and he didn't get to do that. He didn't do that. And now he's in a must-win. Is he capable of doing it? Yes, because the Fords are fast in the short tracks. RFK's fast. Now, his best finish there is 11th. And then his best finish in the next-gen car is 14th, which was in the spring. So, like, not great, not like a great thing to know or to see, knowing that it's his best finish at the track. But anything can happen at Martinsville. And we all saw what happened to the Hail Melons. Happy anniversary to the Hail Melon. I mean, I was at that race live in person in Martinsville. It was one of the most incredible races. The Hail Melon was one of the most incredible things to ever see in person. I couldn't believe when I saw that. I mean, I didn't even know how he was even doing that. But yeah, we won't see any Hail Melons this weekend. Good, because I don't really want to. I'm not trying to see it. A bunch of cars wall riding. That's not, to me, I'm happy they got rid of it. NASCAR does not need me entertainment. We're here to see great form of racing. But no, I think my pick, I'm going with Denny Hamlin. I mean, he's down. He's minus 17. He has to get in there good. He almost won in the spring. I mean, I think Denny Hamlin finished 4th in the spring. I think he almost won, but I think with strategy or whatever, hurt him in that race to keep him from getting first. And then also Martin Truex finished 3rd in the spring too, so he'll be good. I mean, it'll be fun to watch. Because to me, Martin Truex and Denny Hamlin, they're going to have a mindset. I think they're going to have both mindsets of winning. But while they're having that mindset of winning the race, they're going to make sure they get points. So, man, it's going to be a great week of racing. This is must-see TV at Martinsville. You don't want to miss this race. Tune in, NBC, 2 o'clock, 2:30. Don't miss it. That's it. That's how we're going to wrap up our episode today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a review on all podcast platforms. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. I look forward to talking to you guys about the Martinsville race next week. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Goodbye.